Yesterday it was Bruno Guimaraes, and today it's another one. The transfer speculations never stop. They just keep going and going and going and going, and we have to talk about them when we see them. And Man United are pretty much under construction, as the case may be, and it's okay for people to link specific targets and all of that. So we're going to run through two transfers, and that is Myles Lewis-Skelly, Man United interested in him, and Marcus Rashford. So welcome back to the channel, and today we're basically just diving deep into what might be the most quintessential summer of modern history for Man United. We're standing at crossroads where the old guard meets a new vision, and where the headlines coming out of Old Trafford right now are quite frankly, staggering. Like imagine a world where Manchester United intentionally lets a global superstar like Marcus Rashford walk through the doors after a stint at Barcelona, while simultaneously preparing to drop £60 million on a 19-year-old from a direct rival who has barely scratched the surface of senior football. I mean, that's going to, and the truth is, when you look at these kinds of things, it makes you want to think, where does this news originate from? And the truth is, I don't just come out and give you news. I have to find the origin. I have to find where it came from, right? This isn't just rumor, it's talk. It's the blueprint of, a total overhaul. But then it tells you, gives you a sense of where Man United is headed when it comes to direction. But then these are kind of what you can call like light rumors. Myles Lewis-Skelly is kind of like a gamble for Man United. Is he a Premier League proven player and all of those things? And then obviously with Marcus Rashford and Barcelona, what's the update, what's trending, what is everybody talking about? So yeah, let's get right in. Let's get deep into this whole news, right, without wasting so much time. Now let's start with the name that's on everyone's lips. Myles Lewis-Skelly kind of disappeared this season. Last season he was just breaking through as an 18-year-old. Now he's 19, and if you have not been tracking Arsenal's academy closely, you might be wondering why a 19-year-old with a limited senior minutes is commanding a £60 million price tag. But for United, it isn't just about buying the player, it's about buying a solution for a decade-long crisis based on what is out there on social media. But United left-back position has also become something of a cursed spot. I mean, you have a Luke Shaw, who is arguably the best in the world in his position, but has gotten old and he's had an injury-riddled career. Long stretches on the treatment table and all of that. He's now entering, he's now in his 30s, right? And the club has realized that they can no longer build a season's tactical plan around his fitness. Obviously, this is the season where he's played the most game as a Man United player in a really, really long time. He's played more games than the last 2 or 3 seasons combined this season. So he's now basically at the age where we have to manage his body. And then you have Tara Malasia's situation where he has not just clicked at all. He showed much promise at the beginning, but is now expected to leave the club on a free transfer, and the vacuum of left back is now massive. Even though when you look at what Man United have done in this left back business, you understand that there's Diogo Leon, who is pretty much in the fray. And then you also have Harry Amas, who is also trying to come through based on the fact that he's been on loan for the longest time, at least for this last season. With Harry Amas, you might just want to think Man United is covered in left back. I mean, you have Harry Amas, you have Diogo Leon, but what experience do they have? Then you have Patrick Dogu, who is pretty much going to be our left winger, depending on how things pan out and how the next manager uses him. So there's still a huge vacuum of experience versus youth. Now, the reports coming from sources like Team Talk have confirmed that, sources like Team Talks and heavyweights like ESPN have suggested that United has placed him on a very top of a 4-man short list. But then Lewis-Skelly isn't your traditional left back. He is your natural midfielder who is currently being converted into an inverted left back. So that leaves you something to think about. Now, this is more of the United way But when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, it leaves you wondering what were Man United trying to build in the time of Amorim, right? The legacy. Now, even with the managerial shifts at the club, the tactical requirements for a defender who can step into midfield during the build-up phase is now a non-negotiable for elite teams. And we've seen that under Michael Carrick, where he's kind of used Dalot as an inverted fullback to drop into midfield to help, or to drop in the back three to become as part of drop in the defense to become as part of a back three. But yeah, it is what it is. Lewis-Skelly represents modern football, technically secure, technically versatile, physically ready for the transition. And United isn't looking for a backup, but for sure, they're looking for like his successor, one who can provide completely different dimension in the attack, if you look at it from the positive part. But comes the Arsenal friction, you might be asking, why would Arsenal ever let him go, especially to Man United? The reality is that modern football is that talent. The reality of modern football is that talent needs a pathway, and the pathway is kind of choked for Arsenal. At the Emirates, the pathway has become a bit more like a bottleneck for Myles Lewis-Skelly. Arsenal have invested heavily in Ricardo Calafiori and Piero Hincapi. Two talents, right, who are currently blocking Lewis-Skelly's route to the first team. If Man United had gone in for Lewis-Skelly at the beginning of the season, then I could have said, okay, maybe there's a plan there to kind of embed him into the lineup and get him to, evolve and become that Luke Shaw replacement. But sources suggest that Lewis-Skelly is growing frustrated. He's 19, he's hungry, and he has his sights set on the 2026 World Cup, which he's definitely not making. He also knows that to get into the senior England squad, he needs to be playing week in, week out. And there's nothing that can happen this season, whether Man United dangle a carrot or offering him a fast track to the starting 11. But obviously, by moving to Old Trafford, he wouldn't just be a rotation player, he would be the face of a new era of recruitment, as the reports have said it, right? Now, this marks a massive shift in how United operates. For years, we've seen them, chase short-term fixes, older players with high wages and temporary sticking plasters. But then the pursuit of Lewis-Skelly, alongside interests like Crystal Palace's Adam Wharton, has proven that the hierarchy is focusing on elite domestic talent, and they are looking to build a sustainable core of young, hungry English players who can grow together. £60 million for a teenager is a huge gamble, but it's a gamble on potential rather than payment for past glories. And the truth is, I don't think Man United are interested in Lewis-Skelly. Maybe based on and the reason why I said that is I looked at how where the origin of the news came from. Like, what's the origin of this news? And the news actually originated from an exclusive report by Team Talks, specifically journalist Graham Bailey, who revealed that United has placed Lewis-Skelly on a 4-man shortlist of left-back targets. Other outlets, including Football Transfers and ESPN, have since corroborated the interest, noting that United is laying the groundwork for a summer 2026 pursuit. So, Myles Lewis-Skelly, he's expected to replace Darren Malacia and be and give Luke Shaw a competition for that spot. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think Man United are interested. If we get him, I don't know what direction we're headed with that. I'm not saying he's not a good player. I'm saying he's a player I rate, but then why are we going for him? That's the question. And as time goes on, we'll find out and we will bring it to you as we go. Now, to talk about other players, we need to talk about the Marcus Rashford dilemma. While the club looks to the future with Myles Lewis-Skelly, they are entangled with the complexities of the past. Specifically, the future of Marcus Rashford. This is a story that has taken more twists than Hollywood thrillers, right? Last July, Rashford joined Barcelona on loan, and at the time, it felt like an end of an era. The hope was that a change of scenery would reignite the spark that was seemingly gone out of Old Trafford, right? Now, and to be fair, the move has been kind of productive, right? a little bit productive, although news coming out recently has stated otherwise. Rashford has netted 10 goals in 39 appearances for the Catalans. Man, 39 appearances, 10 goals. Well, I don't know, maybe 1 goal every 3 games. Yeah. He's been competing in La Liga and Champions League, showing flashes of devastating pace and clinical finishing. But now we hit the financial reality of the modern era, right? The loan included pretty much a 30 million euro buy option, right? A 30 million euro option to buy, right? And the truth is, we have to talk about it. We have to analyze it, and we have to, break it down, right? In today's market, 30 million for a 28-year-old forward with Rashford's pedigree and recent form in Spain sounds like a bargain. However, Barcelona are reportedly doing what Barcelona does, trying to renegotiate the deal. There is heavy speculation from Spain that they want a discount, right? They are looking to move the goalposts. And obviously, I'm not going to say we did not expect that this was going to happen, because everybody knows Barcelona's state of play when it comes to finances, right? There is, and I'm not surprised that that speculation has come. But Manchester United's message back to the Camp Nou is crystal clear. Not a chance. United bosses are adamant they will not enter fresh talks, and they will not budge on that 30 million euro valuation. In fact, United believe they hold all the cards here. I don't know if they do hold all the cards, but this is something we're going to be observing. Now, the question is he going to return to Man United? And fans online are saying no, he shouldn't, right? If Barcelona doesn't trigger that buy option, right, United isn't worried about being stuck with Rashford. Quite the opposite, right? There is a growing sentiment within the club that Rashford's value has actually increased during his time at Spain, and they've already had inquiries from several clubs across England and Europe, and will be willing to pay significantly more than 30 million. I mean, these clubs will be significantly willing to pay significantly more than 30 million euros if he becomes officially available. But here is the most intriguing part of the report. If no one meets United's valuation, they are perfectly happy to let him return to the first team squad. I can see the sense in that, because of the fact that the manager who wanted him out is no longer here. So, yeah. This is where the internal politics at Old Trafford gets fascinating. With Ruben Amorim no longer at the helm, and the tactical and personnel barriers that might have existed for Rashford's reintegration have shifted, interim boss Michael Carrick, a man who knows Rashford better than almost anyone from their time playing together in the previous coaching and his previous coaching stints, is leading the club now in seriously considering Rashford's permanent role for next season, even though Michael Carrick has come out to say in his press conference that he's not involved in anything with regards to transfer. But however, this isn't a move that has universal support, right? If you look at the fan forums and listen to the matchday crowds, the opinion is deeply divided. A large portion of the fan base is opposed to a return, and they remember the inconsistent form, the perceived body language issues, and the massive wage packet, right? So they feel that the club should take the money and run, finally cutting ties and moving into a new era. And the truth is, I couldn't agree more with that, because obviously the club needs to move in a different direction. Bringing Rashford back is kind of like going back to the old direction, right? Now, on the flip side, there are those who see the rotation value of Marcus Rashford, right? They also see a player who has proven that he can score 10 goals in a season in a top league like La Liga, and they think, why are we selling a homegrown asset for a cut price when he could provide essential depth? That's a huge question. But then I think we've moved on. I mean, we've comfortably replaced him with a 26-year-old Matheus Cunha, who's 2 years younger and can give us another 2, 3, 4 years, and basically still be more valuable, and can play multiple positions, can play multiple roles in the club. Matheus Cunha as a striker, as a left winger, right winger, even as a 10 as well. Now, with the departure of players like Malacia and the constant injury worries elsewhere. Having a veteran like Marcus Rashford who knows the club inside out might be more valuable than a 30 million euro check that barely covers half of what we will sign Lewis-Skelly for. Now, I have my take on this, but I also have my concerns as well, especially with the whole Michael Rashford situation. What does he do when he comes into the squad? Does he make the team better, or does he, does he evolve, the team? Does he make it, bring back experience and all of that? I don't know. Now, selling him 30 million euros, is that a bargain for the club? Well, I don't know, because what's the going rate when it comes to Man United? A lot of clubs want to lowball us, right? So the tactical collusion here is that, let's think about the team Man United is trying to build, right? If you bring Lewis-Skelly in at left back and you have a defender who drifts into the midfield, but if you have Rashford on the left wing, you have a forward who loves to stay wide and then cut inside. I'm not trying to compare both, but then on paper, this is a dream tactical pairing. Lewis-Skelly occupies the central spaces, drawing defenders away, while Rashford exploits the isolation of the flank. This is me just kind of comparing both players and bringing them into the squad, and where the tactical dilemma comes in. But the sustainability project at Man United is not such that we would be interested in these players to make an impact. I am not taking away the fact that Myles Lewis-Skelly is a good player, not taking away that fact. But the question now lies, why are we signing him for that an amount, £60 million? It's a massive financial gamble, right? And with regards to the Rashford news, I can tell you with confidence where this is coming from, and this is coming from Rob Dawson of the ESPN, and this is what he says: if Barcelona don't trigger the 30 million buy option for Marcus Rashford and he returns to Manchester United at the end of the season, sources say it's likely that he will be allowed to rejoin the first team squad now that Ruben Amorim is no longer at the club. Then the next follow-up news is that Manchester United are aware of the speculation in Spain that Barcelona could look to renegotiate terms of a deal for Marcus Rashford. However, United bosses are adamant that they will not, emphasis on not, enter fresh talks and are willing to let Rashford return to the club in the summer if Barcelona do not like their 30 million buy option. United also believe Rashford's form in Spain has increased his value, that they could potentially negotiate a higher fee with another club. Sources say that there have been inquiries from a number of clubs in England and Europe about the player's potential availability amid the uncertainty about his future. The truth is, another thing we have to think about is Marcus Rashford's salary is a stumbling block for us. It is a stumbling block for us. So what do you guys think? Now, my final verdict from all of this, just to wrap up everything, is we're looking at Manchester United as finally trying to make moves, but we can't trust any of the news that's coming out now until we see proper moves. We should be seeing pre-contract agreements. They have not been bullied by Barcelona, which is unlike United, and they are not afraid to go for the best young talents in the country, even if it means paying a premium for the rival. But then, obviously, 19-year-old Myles Lewis-Skelly, what experience does he have? I don't know. Right now, as we're towards the summer 2026. The stakes couldn't be higher. Will Man United go for a player like Myles Lewis-Skelly? Let me know in the comment section. Should Man United go for a player like Myles Lewis-Skelly? I mean, there's a talk of Bruno Guimaraes that we talked about yesterday, and there's a talk of other players like Sandro Tonali, which we're going to talk about when we see any proper news, and Adam Wharton, Elliot Anderson. I'm creating a list of players that Man United are going for and players that Man United could sign, and I'm trying to work out a plan to have conversations with other people to kind of basically hear their thoughts. I'm bringing in someone who is tactically sound when it comes to researching players and all of that. So we will talk about this and more in the future. I mean, in the next couple of days when I set things. But thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking around through this whole transfer talk and all of that. If there are any updates, I'm going to bring them your way. But let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section about these two players we talked about, Myles Lewis-Skelly and Marcus Rashford. If you haven't already, please do like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't have to miss anything as it relates to all things Manchester United. I'll see you on the next one. Take care, goodbye, and God bless.